But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky, episode 0x48. It's the 73rd episode and the last one before holidays. It's the Merry Christmas episode, all right? Number go up. First thing we're going to do, updates, number go up, sponsored by FOMO Hunt. Let's see here. So this week we're doing Ethereum. And last week, number go up. And the analyst prediction number go up, and I think Ethereum, with all of the decentralized finance, the DEX adoption is probably going to be pretty good thing in the world in the coming year. So anyway, let's next up. We just announced a partnership with the India Blockchain Alliance. More on that later with Raj, who will be on the show here in a few minutes. Really exciting stuff, really expansive, broad applications, really good stuff happening there. So we're really excited about that, and more will be coming out over time. Next, this is how do I say, we posted DIN metrics yesterday. We're going to post some Dragonchain metrics today. I've gathered some that aren't out there daily, but they're more of the broad adoption numbers and things like that. So look for that. It'll be posted in the Dragonchain layer on din.social. Then right now, let's go through some DIN updates. So again, I just posted the early metrics yesterday in the DIN layer, and really good stuff. 900 users. But we just came out of beta, just turned a lot of things on. 75,000 posts, of which a lot of those are feed posts, but 13,000 replies. Almost 80,000 votes. 12 million energy. Really interesting. And look at the actual percentage on how much energy was actually used of that generated. Anyway, total DIN transactions, more than 250,000, 334,000 matter. 1,000 a day, very, very scarce. And it's harder and harder to get every day. I used to get a lot. Now I'm like, okay, I have to start changing my game, figure out how I can get more. Opening applications for business to business layers, and this isn't really just business. This really is a personal or branded layer, or anything that wouldn't go through the layer creation process, where you might want to be the sole owner of that layer, not to share the ownership, or maybe to share it with only your community or customers or things like that. To sometime today, we expect that there will be an article with a link to a form to apply for that. It'll have some mention of the initial fees and how the system will work, because there is still scarcity there. We don't want a million new layers to pop up tomorrow. So we want to keep it a controlled organic growth. So look for that article today. Very interesting stuff, and a lot of really cool stuff coming. A couple of other neat features with the LCP. So part of that is that we expect today that 3 new layers will be created that were under kind of an initial, early form of that. And, we've had a few created in the past months that way as well. So look for those three really good communities developing, we believe. Coming soon, matter boosting, mentioned in the white paper, and half of it is built. We're building the other half in the UI right now. And that is basically for internal boost inside of a layer versus external boost, which is an incentive to share the content. Very interesting stuff. And that's also, it should be mentioned that this is basically the alternative to advertising inside the system, where there's a market around it. There is an ability to pay much less if it's appropriate to the community, if it's not really advertising. So after that, what we do expect that you might want to start discussing, we might post a few things in advance, but we're going to be rolling out layer governance, and more appropriately, or more specifically, the first rollout will be DEN system governance, where and it's mentioned in the white paper, but that people, the community, the people who are that have matter, and the people that have layers or lore will have a hand in helping us decide some of the changes. That is, algorithm changes that we've seen happen occasionally. We really want to get that out to the community so that we can get a better discussion and more of an open source methodology in place. So that's going to roll out soon. There will be some very interesting ways that you participate, that the business has an equal number of votes to the matter as to the lore. So potentially the community could override the business itself. And there's an annual process to enroll that'll be popping up. There will be a yearly governance layer. So you'll have a DEN governance 2021, DEN governance 2022, and that'll be there for proposals and discussion, right? So that's exciting, and that's coming really soon, so that we could fix some things that we needed to fix for the current layer governance on the system today. And the last update is LCP. So we just ran a layer creation process in DEN a few weeks ago. We had 3 new layers created. It was very active competition for I guess attention on those proposals. There were 53 proposals for only 3 slots, and a lot of people were upset. They want another LCP. So there's one coming in January. We do expect that it will be lore voting based, so it will be the real thing, rather than a stopgap measure to make it work with energy. So expect that in January, which is very exciting. I mean, that'll be super fun. And we're going to make a post in DEN that will describe how you can start making proposals right away. So you'll be able to make proposals all the way up until we start it. And so I would venture we will get a lot in there. It'll probably also help us decide how many we will accept in that first LCP. So anyway, those are all the updates. Right after this little spot here, historical spot, we're going to be back with our guests.
ディズニーが最初に開発し、その後スピンアウトし、オープンソースとなったドラゴンチェーンから、ドラゴンチェーン商用プラットフォームおよびドラゴンチェーンインキュベーターが登場。まず資産となるデータの保護に重点を置いているドラゴンチェーンプラットフォームを見ていきましょう。サーバーレス構造を用いた拡張性高いプラットフォームは、スマートコントラクトの開発者たちが Java、Python、Node、C# など使い慣れたプログラミング言語で作り込まれるようパッケージ化されています。さらに、すべてのスマートコントラクトが Amazon AWS とその他の機能にフルアクセスできます。次はドラゴンチェーンインキュベーターを見ていきましょう。ドラゴンチェーンインキュベーターはブロックチェーンプロジェクトのローンチに必要なプロセスを標準化しました。では次にドラゴンチェーンの市場を見ていきましょう。暗号通貨、マーケティング、 法律、ソフトウェア開発、採用といったあらゆる分野のスペシャリストたちが集まるエコシステムになっています。また、この市場には開発者たちが再利用目的で収益化したビルド済みのスマートコントラクタライブラリーも含まれています。最後に紹介するのがドラゴンチェーンプラットフォームとエコシステム全体の全てのサービスにアクセスするためのトークン化されたマイクロライセンスです。ブロックチェーンビジネスマジック用に設計されています。あなたも最も安全で柔軟性が高くビジネス仕様のブロックチェーンプラットフォームとエコシステムの一員になれます。10月2日、いよいよドラゴン発売開始。
All right. Welcome our guests. We have Draith, the founder of BPSAA, the Blockchain Privacy and Security Adoption Alliance, and founder of Pirate Chain. And we have Raj Kapoor, founder and CEO at India Blockchain Alliance, and chair at the Learning Consortium, and international keynote speaker. Right?
Thank you. Hi.
Definitely don't want to say I'm a founder of Pirate Chain because I'm actually not.
Oh,
I'm a captain over there. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm a captain
right.
over there, but I'm not the founder.
Okay, all right. I'll fix that in the updates here, right? We can't do it. We can't edit, but it's all right. Let's see here. First question, Drake. How did you become involved with blockchain?
I was doing a lot of research back in 2015 into Bitcoin, Litecoin, and stuff, and it was just a little over my head, and I just kind of was like, I'll save this for another time. And then in 2016, I just kind of forced myself to look at it more, and it made a lot of sense. So then I just started mining when I was back in 2016, some Litecoin and some other stuff here and there. And then eventually found Pirate Chain in 2018 and thought that was a really solid project and this and that. So did everything that I could to help out them because it's a community-based project and rose to captain from that point. And then eventually just after talking with some of my crewmates and one of my crewmates, Tim, suggested a kind of like an alliance between other projects. So then kind of ran with that after discussing with all the crew and created the BPSAA from there. So
Nice. Very nice. Okay. All right. Raj, how'd you get involved in the tech?
How do I get involved? Well, I was a little further back than Brett. I started I started getting interested in 2012. That was a long time back. It's almost 8 years back. And that's why they call me still the grandfather of blockchain in India, because I'm one of the older guys involved with blockchain. And like anybody else, it was the Bitcoin which caught my fancy at that point of time. Initially, by the way, I did pick up a couple of coins at that time, so I still have them. That's a good thing. Anyways, but the underpinning technology that really intrigued me. I am from a non-technical background. I don't have any technical knowledge, but I loved what Bitcoin was doing on the blockchain. I said, let me do a deep dive in the technology, and that's what intrigued me. And I won't say that the rest is history, because we're still creating some of it. We're trying to create some of it, but we've done well. And we brought blockchain into India, where people now don't ask me the same question. How much is Bitcoin today? That is the first question everybody asked me a few years back. I've managed to change that perception from Bitcoin being completely different from blockchain, yet at the same time, we work together in tandem. And that's what as an organization we do. We try and bring in the knowledge, the evangelism, telling people what is blockchain, what it can do, not just today, in the next 20 years from now. We always tell them it's the next internet, and that's exactly where we are right now. 25 years back, it was the internet, and today we have blockchain.
Yes. Yep. That's very much it. Let's see here. Draith. Okay, so BPSAA. I mean, we just joined, and we just announced that. So what are you? What's the high level vision? Or the most important thing, and what's been the biggest challenge this past year?
So the biggest thing for us at this point is, there's obviously several different things. Education's going to be huge. and we have a ton of plans for not only educating people within the BPSAA, but people outside of the BPSAA that are not even in crypto.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing there is that you can advertise all you want, you can build as much as you want, but if nobody outside of your bubble knows what you're doing, then it's kind of pointless, right? So the biggest challenge is trying to figure out how best to get everyone to work together. Because we've been trained for so long in crypto that we have to stay in our pigeonholes. We have to focus on our own stuff instead of let's help each other out. Let's build stuff together so that we can make something huge,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's progressing pretty well over time, and there's actually been quite a bit of natural collaborations, which is fantastic, So I'm just really happy to see that.
Yeah. Because I will tell you that it was interesting to me because we've been fighting the tribalism forever because we're an interop. That's what we do, and it's not valuable as valuable if everybody's fighting. It makes people don't understand they should be doing that interoperating, and so I think a lot of that came from the early culture, because early on, the very early culture was that it was Bitcoin was very open. It was very open source friendly. It was very liberty focused. It was very even privacy focused, but security focused. But when it's forked, when it split, it was such a toxic environment. No matter which side you were on, and if you were on both, it was really rough, right? Because it made it bizarre, and I think that culture has kind of stood with, because then the regulators came in, and then all of the other projects popped out, and they were all tribal by nature because that's what they were used to in Bitcoin and Ethereum even. So I'm hoping that what you guys are doing is going to correct some of that, heal some of that, maybe open up new way of handling the industry. So
I mean, the big thing is that even with I see it like businesses, to be honest, because businesses compete against each other. So you have multiple, say, privacy coins that compete when realistically they should just be working together. I mean, especially if they have different algorithms and different privacy protocols, you can't just stick with one, because if one gets compromised, everybody's compromised,
Right. Let's see here, Raj. So I have something here. We just announced our partnership. I think it was yesterday, was it not?
Yeah.
So, and with India Blockchain Alliance and Dragonchain Foundation, can you explain to the audience what we will be doing together? What the alliance will be doing in particular, and why you choose Dragonchain?
Well, I'll take a step back and say why we started this first. And once again, I'll take it and I'll link it up to your question. Now, first and foremost, education, as even Brad said, education is important. Education is the fundamental. If you don't have that education, as he said, we'll work in silos. We'll never get out of the system. We'll see where we are. We'll keep running in circles. And as a result, when we started, the first thing we did was put the fundamental blocks of education. Now, let's put it this way. We put the edu blocks in place, the blockchain blocks of education. Now, we work right now. Over the last 2 years, we are working with more than 400 private universities across the country. And India is a large country, so they have a lot of universities, private universities. There are private universities and colleges, not just universities. So what we did was we brought in a lot of programs out there. We said, all in blockchain. I myself have written a lot of curriculum myself around blockchain. I've written something like about now, 18 different courses in blockchain at different levels. But that's my passion anyways. So when we were talking, I think Trey approached us and said, well, what about a partnership? I said, okay, let's see if we can create value in the partnership. The value is very important to us. And when I had a look at Dragonchain's platform, I actually saw the intrinsic value, which we can take from there, bring it here. India's got a whole bunch of talented guys. It's a really big IT hub. Half of Silicon Valley's work is done here. We got a lot of guys, but they don't know blockchain very well. And getting a platform to work on, which is much easier, adaptable, and the education that goes along with that, that makes sense. Why? Because we also set up what we call centers of excellence at these universities and colleges. And I felt that's the right way to get these guys, catch them young, get them while they were studying after high school, get these guys to work on these platforms, understand there are options for you, enjoy the entire process. And that's why we said, well, let's say hello to Dragonchain. And Trey and I, we hit it off pretty well as well.
Yeah.
So much so, as I said, that we even now have an Indian dragon, like I was telling you, with the India flag, we're holding an India flag, which is fantastic because that's going to be our symbol going forward with all these centers of excellences.
Nice.
So we felt the value, we saw the value, and there's a lot of exciting things going on. It's an evolving platform. It's an evolving, and the technology is also evolving. It works well. The tandem works well. The partnership works well. So we are intending to bring in this, educate, train, and get a whole bunch of new dragons in India. The dragon will roar in India, not just in China now. So that's another thing.
Nice, great. Okay, now next I'm going to ask you both about a couple of interesting things, the regulatory, right? So Dre, U.S. Just proposed, new law or regulations. I haven't looked enough into it, particularly in detail, but which will require KYC for any withdrawals to a personal or hardware wallet. And it's interesting that they even mentioned hardware wallets versus, it's basically you're withdrawing, right? Is this good or bad for the industry? And will it have an effect on decentralized exchange and, DeFi adoption?
Personally, I think, well, let me start with the effect, actually. I think the effect, if that were to actually come true, is DEXs will just instantly rise up past centralized exchanges as the primary use for trade. Because DEXs, as you know, you don't need to register, just connect your wallet and you go. And you can run it anywhere pretty much. Whereas a centralized exchange, it's, centralized point of attack, it's one place that you have to go to. So, I think that if that were to come true, DEXs would rise up. Now, as far as the KYC portion for users, it's just, to me, it would make sense if you're like an institutional user. It doesn't make sense if you're just an average user, just trading assets, because why impose restrictions or why impose KYC on just some average trader or someone that's just wanting to trade once? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and that's I think it bodes well for crypto actually, because my contention has been all along that through the years when China said they were going to ban it and then they didn't and then they did and then they didn't, and then you had similar things from Bank of England saying that they're going to convert to a cryptocurrency. National unit, national currency, and then someone's months later saying no, we're not, and it repeated a few times around 2015. And it's always funny because it would affect the markets, and I was like, the governments can affect the choke points. They can affect if you're going to a big market and they know everything about those, but they can't affect they can't affect the actual use of Ethereum or Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing that people would still take it as such a negative that it would crash the markets, and it was bizarre to me.
Well, let me give you a good point actually. So, say you're just an average trader, you trade one or two times, right? And because of this bill, you have to give KYC. Now, all of a sudden, that exchange gets hacked. Look at Ledger yesterday, right?
Exactly it.
So it's just insane the amount of information that the hackers can pull from that and then just use against you.
And know how much you're storing at your house with your family. Yep. It's pretty evil. Raj, so something similar, but there's been talk in recent months about India banning crypto trading or various forms of other, various crypto laws, one way or another. Do you think it'll happen, and does it worry you?
All right. Very simply, it won't happen. I'll give you two reasons why it won't happen. First, Facebook has invested big time in a company called Reliance Jio in India. Okay. One of the reasons why it's done that is it wants to take out it's got its own currency Libra, and that's what it wants to bring into India anyway. India is a huge market. The largest Facebook consumers are all here, and they were sitting on the fence, but they invested very recently when actually the central bank their order was overturned by the Supreme Court the earlier part of the year. So that is one reason. They wouldn't invest a huge amount of money if they were not allowed to be trading it. That's one. Second, it's all noise. It's all smokes and mirrors right now. It's all smokes and mirrors. But the second reason, and very recently, I think about 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, the government has allowed two things. One, it has allowed a UK-based company called Casha, CASHAAA, to come and set up 34 physical crypto banks in India. Now, why would they do it if this was not going to get through? That was one. Right. And just about a week back, we had this news that their Indian banks are going to be allowed to trade in crypto, and 7 or 8 banks are already on the bandwagon. All these are indicators. I cannot say it's my opinion, of course. These are indicators that it's going to be here to stay.
Yeah.
But as far as crypto is concerned, crypto makes government change policies. Crypto will not change. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. It's not going to happen. It perhaps introduce a law. It was supposed to happen 3 months back. They shelved it because of pressure from the right places. They conveniently we didn't have a winter session of the parliament because this was to again be brought up here. We are letting things slide a little when people. That's also because of there are no frameworks. I don't blame them. There are no frameworks. There are no standards. There are no SOPs right now. So a committee is actually set forward to put these things together, and probably when they come out with their recommendations, this won't happen. This headlines come in only because Bitcoin is going through the roof, so to speak. They don't want Indians to go crazy overnight. There are already 7 to 8 million guys in India who've got holdings. So it's just a matter of time. Trust me, it's just a matter of time.
All right, well, that's good. That actually all sounds like good news. Okay, so next up, Dre. Ever-changing regulatory environment. I mean, it's here, it's there, it's in Europe, different. It's in different parts of Asia, it's different. How does a BPSAA keep up with that, especially focused on privacy and security? Because some of these things, like you said, and I can't remember. I know when we ran the Blockchain Seattle meetup, there was a really amazing example of this. I'll have to see if I can't figure out which one it was, that there was a hack on an exchange that would not have occurred if the regulators hadn't forced the exchange to do a certain action, which was not best security practice. If they forced them to, for some arbitrary reason, it was a legal decision of engineering. Kind of like what you saw at Chernobyl or Challenger disaster, where either the bean counters or the lawyers get involved in engineering decisions. You have disasters awaiting you, right? So, how do you keep up with all this?
Well, I mean, realistically, you just got to keep reading what the lawmakers are producing as far as potential bills and things like that, and just if something comes out that's going to ruin privacy for every individual or things like that, we got to team up with people like the EFA, like the Electronic Frontier Alliance and things like that, to fight against those things and bring it to their attention. Because one thing I notice about the EFA is that they do a fantastic job, but they don't really have a presence in crypto. So we're trying to work with them to, reinforce, hey, this is an actual real area that needs to be focused on, and we can help with that. So it's just a lot of fighting, a lot of research and things like that to help protect users' privacy. So.
Right on. Okay. And Raj, how many? You mentioned universities and the centers of excellence. How many universities are you talking about? And are they entirely within India, or is it are there some elsewhere?
Now, all these which I mentioned are in India. India is a very large country. There's many more. We plan to cover double that in the next couple of years as well. But we also have a lot of presence. We do a lot of work in Australia. We do a lot of work in Canada. We do a lot of work in Africa. So it's we are in India Blockchain Alliance, but we work extensively. I mean, it's all without boundaries now. There are no boundaries anymore. So it doesn't restrict us to be in a geography, basically. So we do a lot of work. Africa has a lot of challenges similar to India. So we work very closely in many sectors. And that's another place where we'll be working in many places. Also, I'm talking about universities. We work mostly private universities because private universities are more autonomous. They can bring in programs, solutions, platforms, you name it. We can get it in faster because the decision making is much faster. And obviously, everybody's got, with the government universities, you know how the government is a little bit of a slug. It's a snail. It takes its own pace, its own time. And unlike the hare and the tortoise, the hare always wins and the private universities always win. The government universities are good for everybody because they're subsidized, but private universities take the cake as far as innovation, change, all that.
Yeah.
So that's what we really focus on.
That's great.
We're also going to schools now. We're also going to schools. So we're getting blockchain introduced at school level as well. So that's going to be another addition. It's never happened in our country. We'll be the first to probably introduce it. So that's going
great.
to be 2021 New Year resolution for us.
Excellent. Right on. That's really good. The earlier the better, right? You just get the concepts in their head. That's great. Draith, plans for BPSAA 2021.
So plans for BPSAA would include getting our nonprofit status. We're currently finishing up the applications for that with the firm that I hired. Creating an educational wing as soon as that comes up. We're building that right now. We have a ton of ideas, including offering courses for developers to learn other languages and to learn about blockchain, and as well as just courses for regular people to just learn about blockchain itself. Expanding the members of the BPSAA, creating more interoperability. There's just, the list goes on and on and on.
That's great. There's always a lot to do, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Raj, what are your plans with the Alliance this coming year?
Yeah, the first thing is I'll pick up from Brett the programs, the education wing. When that comes up, that's going to be of interest. We're very happy to work on that as well. Education is the biggest product in India. In India, everybody loves education. Unlike many other countries where you can opt out, take a break, Indians don't take a break from education. They're educating themselves year on year. And it's good for us as well. It keeps us occupied. Yeah. So coming back to 2021, we are already now the largest alliance in Asia. As far as we'd love to work in more countries in this year. We'd love to actually create a lot of impact. We've actually opened up an entire wing, which we call Blockchain for Good. So we are doing a lot of work in that space where we are actually encouraging students, anybody who wants to create something for good. It will have impact on either the sustainable development goals. So we've actually built a lot of solutions. We're going to be building a lot of solutions around that. Also, another wing in which we are going to have blockchain for girls. We've had very few girls in India, especially, which are into blockchain. In fact, there are very few people I meet in this space, and most of them are guys. So I'm happy to meet them, no doubt. We'd love to see some women also involved with that. And we had a small project recently that went very well. These women came up with some fantastic ideas, and they created their own products. So we are actually encouraging a lot of community participations. We want more diversity. So one of the things we're doing is now just trying to work with the government also on creating socio-economic impact. 2021 is going to be a year for the good. We've had 2020, which has been a tough year. It's not been a very good year for most people. We'd like 2021 to start with a ray of hope. And not just a wing and a prayer, but actual ray of hope. So that's what we're going to do here.
Right on. Right on.
And
Looking forward.
We're going to get more guys, more developers. We're going to get more people into the blockchain. There are just in India about 5,000 to 6,000 developers. That's about all. That's nothing for a country for the population.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially India. That's yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of devs over there. Okay. So we're okay. Thanks both of you for coming on the show. Raj, tell us where people can follow you and the Blockchain Alliance.
I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
Yeah, tell us where people can follow you and the India Blockchain Alliance.
Oh yeah. We are on. No, we are not. We are active on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn, yes, and Facebook, and we have a YouTube channel as well. So you follow me, or you can just get in touch with me directly. I am a very 24/7 guy. I love the WhatsApp, and yeah. Well, if you want to social, all the social handles, LinkedIn is the most popular way which we use because that's what our audience sort of links up on that. We just started that about a month and a half time. So yeah, before we were not so social media, but we decided that we must reach out as many people. So we done that Facebook.
Excellent. All right, and Draith, where can people follow you in the BPSAA?
So you can follow us on one of the dozens of social medias that we're on, including Twitter, Facebook, Mastodon, Float, YouTube, you name it. Our Twitter handle is at BPSAA_official. Our website is bpsaa.vision. So that's VISION. And you can find all our socials there. You can meet up with us on our official Telegram, which, by the way, you can talk to us through that by using any of our members' Discords. There's a channel in every one of our members' Discords that is a big communication ring that gets all the messages sent to every Discord and our Telegram. So.
Interesting. Very good. Very good. And we need to both of you to consider coming on Den too. We hadn't talked about that, but later,
yeah,
right? Very good. So everybody else, like, comment, subscribe, watch us again next Tuesday. Should be on next Tuesday. I think it doesn't fall on a holiday. And follow Real Denizens, Dragonchain Gang, Jojo Row. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. See you next week.
Merry Christmas to all of you.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.